Yeah, I was born in Japan, raised in Japan, and came to the US. Yeah, in my 30s, and it's been a while.
Hmm.
I live in New Jersey, work as a recruiter, and I met Tarek at the Japanese English language exchange group meetup.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When did you guys meet each other? When was that?
When was it? Maybe 2016 or 15?
Yeah, 20. Let me think, because it was around the time I started going back to community college. So that was, around 2016. So about 4 years ago.
Wow, interesting. So, how was his Japanese back then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't spoken. I haven't talked with him in Japanese for a while, but pretty good. He can speak English very fluently with perfect pronunciation.
Yeah. Wow, it's interesting.
Yeah, and also, Tariq, you speak Chinese and Korean, right? Not
Yeah,
Chinese.
I was studying Korean and Chinese at that time, but they weren't even close as good as my Japanese.
Already.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have a question for you. So, is it harder or is it more easier to study to learn Japanese than Korean and Chinese, from your experience?
Yeah, I think Japanese, well, it's a mixture, right? Because Japanese has kanji, it has hiragana and katakana. So you have this alphabet kind of foundation to start as a learner, whereas Korean has just an alphabet, Hangul, um, and those actual words which you can spell in their alphabet are based on kanji. So it's like a reverse. So if you know some like kanji or Chinese traditional characters and you know the meaning of it, when you translate it into Korean, it's easier to understand Korean. Whereas in Japanese, you want to learn the basic, hiragana, katakana first, and then you can understand kanji. So it's like a reverse that in that aspect. And then I would say Chinese absolutely is the hardest of those three because there's no alphabet. So as a American, an English speaker trying to learn Chinese, you have to learn how to just memorize a lot of characters and a lot of there's a lot of like methods. People have like radicals, what they call, which is like on the left side you have one character or shape, and then on another side you have the other one, and sometimes it's on the top, sometimes it's on the bottom. It's a lot of memorization, but yeah, I would say Japanese and Korean are kind of tied, and then Chinese is the hardest.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't. Yeah, I thought Japanese is the toughest, hardest. Maybe not.
Oh, well, it all depends, right? So for some people, Japanese could be harder, right? And like for you, Fyodor, you speak Chinese primarily, and if you were to try to learn Japanese, maybe you would find that harder because you're already used to just memorizing the characters.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm just kind of curious about this pronunciation thing because, as we all know, like learning a different foreign language always stops you at the level of reducing your accent, right? And as you just pointed out, that Tarek had at that time a good pronunciation. So was it like an accent or what was that?
You asking me?
No.
Oh, Megumi?
Megumi, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you say again?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, so I basically said back in the day, like 2016, like Tarek had a good pronunciation. So I'm just kind of curious whether was that an accent or maybe something else.
Well, I don't know why. Maybe Tariq should answer. Tariq, you
Oh,
have been working at the Japanese restaurant, and then all the time you spoke or you used Japanese, right? When you were working,
right.
and he got a kind of environment. A lot of Japanese people are there, so that's why I think he picked it up very like naturally, right?
Hmm.
Well, yeah, I think it was a combination of things. For one, I have studied a little bit of linguistics, and I think if you're learning a language, any language, you should know something about linguistics because linguistics helps you understand like what are the sounds that people make to create words and like in all languages. And when you just get this basic understanding of like, okay, so in some languages there are the same sounds and in others they're different, different sounds. And that's why some people have an easier time, like say if you're an English speaker learning Japanese as opposed to Arabic, because there may be a lot of similar sounds already. So when I learned those things in linguistics and I was learning Japanese, I realized, oh, okay, actually Japanese has almost all the same sounds we have in English. So if I just think about it in that way, that's like a good way to start. And then from there, from working with Japanese people constantly, I was able to pick up the more subtle sounds, how to pronounce it more clearly or properly and not use like an American accent in my pronunciation.